Hi, my name is Lonnie Woodley, and we're here to cover another session of our six-part series. This one is called Pit Stop Reality Check, Powerful Decision-Making Tools Beyond Your Gut. We're here to talk about financial statements, but we're also here to talk about key measures and how the key measures can help you grow. And to help you with the end game. How do you get there and how do you plan for it? With that in mind, we have a great client that has used these tools in his business, and his name is Randy Price from Rocky Mountain Restaurant Group. The first thing is to give the audience a little bit of understanding of your current business.
Worked my way through school, worked my way through college, got a degree in business and hotel restaurant management from Northern Arizona University. Went to work for some big corporations. Have been doing this my whole life with the goal in mind that I was always going to be opening my own company. My wife and I moved to Colorado Springs in 2000 and opened our first location, Salsa Brava Fresh Mexican Grill, in 2002. Started off with about 20 employees and $750,000 in sales our first year. Have grown the company to over 350 employees currently and sales in excess of $10 million. We have three concepts. We have Santerra Innovative Southwest Grill. It's kind of our farm-to-table concept. We've got Salsa Brava Fresh Mexican Grill. It's more themed after Eat Fresh, Live Well. Everything's made from scratch and with fresh products. And we have our newest concept, Over Easy and Urban Egg. Both are a daytime eatery, and that is more of a local and organic Colorado source breakfast and lunch concept. We'll be opening Urban Egg in Denver in a couple of weeks. We've got two Over Easies operating currently in Colorado Springs.
Before you started your business, you had to anticipate how you'd measure success. What were your thoughts when you started the business?
For me, success is measured in a number of ways. I mean, obviously, it's how you're tied to your community and what you do in your community to give back. How successful your employees are and what a great work environment you can provide for folks so that they're happy, they're engaged, they're committed. That to me is incredibly important. But also financial success is a big deal. I mean, we want to grow the company, make sure that we're maintaining proper cash reserves. We've got money in the bank to grow. As we live below our means and we don't spend excess amounts of money, we are smart with capital improvements. And we focus on operations on a daily basis to make sure we're providing a great experience for each and every guest that walks into our restaurant.
You had mentioned some key measurements. What do you think the biggest key measure is of your success?
For me, it's cash in the bank. I think it's if you've got some money put aside for a rainy day. You never know what the economy is going to throw at you. I always sleep better at night knowing that I'll be able to make it through the next few months.
Have any of the key measurements changed since you started your business?
Not really. We stay pretty focused on very similar things in all of our concepts, so I'd have to say that we have been focused from day one on the main key measurements, the main key financial indicators for us.
What are those key measures?
In this restaurant industry, it's really about food costs, cost of goods sold, liquor costs, labor costs, variable expenses, but an emphasis in our business on execution on a daily basis and ensuring satisfied customers. It doesn't really matter what store we're talking about. The only difference in those stores is going to be what goes on the plate versus pancakes and eggs and bacon or burritos and fajitas and coconut shrimp. We're always measuring similar indicators. Food cost is a big component. Liquor cost, labor cost is your largest component. But I always make sure that I reinforce with my staff that it's a sales-driven business and sales solve lots of problems, which comes down to customer service, customer satisfaction, repeat business. I've always preached to my staff and to my peers that this business is about providing a good value, exceptional quality, clean, high-energy environments with a genuine and sincere staff.
Just how often you measure these key performance indicators?
And a lot of those, it's on a daily basis. And even breaking that down a little farther, sometimes it's on a shiftly basis. So we may have 2 day parts in some stores, 3 day parts in others, but we're analyzing our day parts and we're looking at per person check averages. We're looking at sales for those shifts. We're comparing them against comp store sales for previous periods, making sure that we are educating our staff what our goals are, where we need to be, how we're going to get there, and that everybody's on the same page. To identify key performance indicators and make sure that everybody from all the executive team all the way down to our servers, our bartenders, our busboys understand that we're trying to manage the bottom line, and they have an involvement in that. You know, each job description may be a little bit different, but ultimately they are helping us manage that bottom line by thinking about those things on a daily basis and a shiftly basis.
How do you actually track those key measures?
Most of those measures we track on a daily basis. The management team is tracking sales. That is coordinated through our Aloha system or our point of sale system. That tracks all of our sales and breaks it down by category: food, liquor, beer, wine, retail sales. We run voids, comp reports, and we compile those on a daily sales report. We track labor on a shiftly basis, so we know what we spent in labor dollars for that shift compared to what sales were generated during that shift. We have key component measurements. We have obviously targeted measurements. My team works on budgets, annual budgets, and we're always comparing our actual performance to our budgeted performance. That's a big key component for us, is are we hitting our goals of being ahead of sales by X percentage in each location. We run financial statements in the stores twice a period, and those would be run to determine where the key indicators are: cost of goods sold on food, liquor, beer, and wine, and labor. Those are the big hitters in my industry. In the non-inventoriable goods, so the supplies and the repair and maintenance, we normally work on a declining budget program.
What do you think would happen if you didn't measure them in that kind of detail?
I think it'd be much more challenging, and I think the fact that we are tracking them and communicating them and aware of where they are helps us react much quicker and make adjustments to make sure that if things are out of line, we're getting back in and correcting them as quickly as we can. If I've got a food cost that jumps 3 points in a store, you better believe I'm going to be in that store. If I have to do inventory every day until I get it figured out, we're going to do inventory every day. Some people measure that by the balance in the checkbook, and in this industry, it's challenging. 90% of restaurants don't make it through their first couple of years. And I think a lot of operators that don't use the systems that we use and do the things that we do basically don't know that they're going to be out of business till they go to write a check and there's no money in the bank. And we want to make sure that we are keeping track of that stuff on a daily basis, and we are aware and know what's going on.
How now do you relate them to your financial statements at the end of the month?
Well, we generate financial statements, and we have the information on the day that that financial statement is generated. The one thing I impress on my staff is a financial statement is a snapshot of the past. And we need to make sure that we are managing our stores on a daily and shiftly basis. It really comes down to shift execution, making sure that food quality is where it needs to be, portion control is where it needs to be, service levels are where they need to be, staffing levels are where they need to be. You know, the financial statement, you couldn't do it without it. We have to have that information. We have to be able to sit down with our teams and say, here's where we're at collectively through 7 periods of this year. Here's where we budgeted. This is where we're doing well. This is where the opportunities lie. You know, how together are we going to correct these areas of opportunities and get those up to where they need to be? Or what are we doing that's great in one store, and how do we take that key performance measure where we're excelling in one store and communicate that to another store so that the entire company is benefiting from good business practices?
So Randy, how do you get your teams involved in all of these measures?
Well, the first thing is we share the information with them, and the goals are known by the entire management team well in advance of when we get started on a period. Obviously, we do annual budgets, so we know what our goals are for the entire year. We have performance measures that are bonus structure related, so we do have a bonus program in place for all the management teams. It's paid quarterly. If they hit their numbers, then they're going to be bonused, and obviously the greater performance in certain key areas, the higher the amount the bonus can be for them.
What advice would you give to business owners?
For me, it's important that they would understand the business venture that they're jumping into. And I think the benchmarks and the systems are paramount in the success of our organization. As we grow and as we add concepts, it's so important that I can look at similar concepts and compare performance in certain key areas from one concept to another to find out what may be happening in one store that needs to be happening in another store. So for me, I'd be lost without my key performance measures. I'd be lost without my standards. The first year I opened my restaurant, Lonnie, I worked every single day. You know, if I was going to walk away from that restaurant and assign another manager to it, I wanted to know what true costs would be with someone who was managing that business honestly with integrity. And I had a benchmark. So I knew where my food costs should be, where my labor costs should be, where my liquor costs should be, what type of sales I could expect to see. So obviously, if you don't have the benchmarks, you have no foundation. Do your homework, you know, really prepare yourself, really run your numbers. And once you get into it, give it 110% or 1,000%. Because once you're rolling on it, failure is not an option. You just got to work through it. And you got to hire great people and empower them to think like an owner. That's our big deal right now, is this leadership thinking program.
Thank you for spending your time with us and sharing the wisdom that you've learned over the years of running your business. To summarize, I think there's some key points here. Randy had indicated how important the systems are to track the measures of the success, how important sharing that information with employees is, and then again, how does it relate to the overall financial performance of the business?